Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, and with me in the Rabbit Hole studio today, she is a writer-director from Sweden, all the way here with her first film, Vicky, which made its New York premiere at the Bushwick Film Festival. Miss Veronica Andersson. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. So I think you're our furthest import all the way from Sweden. We've had people like from LA, from different places, but you might be the first person to come. Because you're just here for the festival right now. So so you're coming from far away. Anyway, I want to talk to you about Vicky, your film, and but first I want to talk to you about you. So. How did you get into filmmaking? Like, what is your origin story, so to speak, in terms of that?
So I'm born and raised in Stockholm, Sweden, and I started theater when I was really small, and then I went into acting. So actually, I have a background in acting, and I've done some acting in full features and so on in Sweden, and I really always felt that I'm a storyteller and that I wanted to direct films, so I started looking for a good film school and found one in Warsaw, Poland. So I finished film directing at the Warsaw Film School.
Very cool, very cool. I think that's where like Polanski and people like that went. I know he went to film school in Poland. I'm not sure if it was in Warsaw or Krakow, but they've produced quite a few good filmmakers out of there, so you're in good company. Do you happen to speak Polish as well?
I have some Polish heritage.
Okay.
So
I would imagine that would help going to Polish film school.
Yeah. But actually I studied in English, so they have an English film directing course. So
you can be in a Polish film school but take classes in English?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would assume that everything would be in Polish. But you.
So it's actually like a international film directing.
Oh, okay.
So they have students from all over the world studying at Warsaw Film School.
So this film, Vicky, is this your first film out of school?
No, it's my second year film. So on the first year, I did also a short that's traveled also quite a bit. It won Best Cinematography at the Yale Student Film Festival, and it won Best Grand Prix at Female Eye Film Festival in Toronto, Canada. So Vicky is my second year film. But it was also produced at Warsaw Film School.
Now, everyone in the film is Polish, right? The film's in Polish.
Yeah.
With I saw it in Polish with English subtitles. Talk to me about what is the origin of the film? Like, now you wrote the film as well as directed it, correct? Mm-hmm. Where did the inspiration come from?
So the film is about an autistic girl that is living together with her grandmother. Unfortunately, her grandmother passes away, and in moves the alcoholic mother. So the kind of nice life that she was living turns a bit darker because the mother is an alcoholic and so on. So the film is also about Vicky trying to find love and trying to find some brightness in her life.
Did you know somebody who was autistic, or did you ever care for somebody who was autistic?
So when I was growing up, I had an autistic friend, and it's a little bit maybe based on his life, because he grew up with a grandmother, but then she passed away, and he didn't have good contacts with his parents, so they put him in an institution. So it's a little bit based on his life story, but then also I read a lot about autism, and especially in Poland, and what happens with autistic people, for example, if their grandparents or parents pass away. And in Poland, they don't have, for example, special homes for people that have autism. It's just one care home in whole of Poland for adults with autism.
It's an interesting also love story because she does meet somebody, and I thought that was kind of the hopeful end of things.
Yeah, and I think that is also very important that, you know, I love the hashtag different not less. That just because you have autism, even if you are on the higher on of the spectrum, it doesn't mean that you can't find love.
Right, and it doesn't mean that you're not entitled to it either, because you know we're all human beings and we all want that. And I think it's a very human movie, like, and you do kind of explore different sides of the human condition. Not all of them fun, you know. How was it making the film? Like, how long did it take to shoot? And like,
so the shooting process was 10 days. And I had a whole film crew. Actually, my cinematographer Mats Helgesson came with me here to New York to visit Bushwick Film Festival. Yeah, I had a pretty big crew, like 25 people, and the whole cast. A lot of the actors I've worked with before at short film school exercises, so I knew all the actors pretty well. And for example, the mother, Magdalena Kisienkiewicz, she acted in my previous film. And Kamila Kobitz, that plays the role of Vicky, I've worked with her on short film exercises before, so we have a pretty good working relationship.
she was great. I really thought, I mean, when I saw that, because and I was saying to you a little bit before we started to roll, but like, you're on really, like, you got to walk a thin line with a role like that, because on one, you know, like on her, what she's doing, I think, is she does a terrific job in portraying somebody with autism, but if you don't get that just right, it could border on like parody, and now you've got a whole community of people with, you know, pitchforks and torches coming after you. But she does it I think she does it very subtly in a way that's very realistic. And did she have to do like a ton of research to do that? Did she?
We together did a lot of research.
Yeah.
So we watched a lot of documentaries, read a lot, watched other movies that have autistic characters in films. So we did a lot of research and preparation for the role.
I think rightly so.
And she's an amazing actress.
She's very good. Now, with the you shot the film in black and white, which was that a budget choice or was that like an aesthetic choice?
No, it was an aesthetic choice.
Why did you choose black and white versus color?
Because I wanted to show that the world that surrounds Vicky is kind of black and white with the different characters, like the good and the bad and so on, but that her world and her is colorful. And I think even though it's a black and white film, it doesn't feel like a black and white film when you're watching it, kind of.
I thought that
you don't focus on it, or
right.
do you?
I thought when I saw it, because black and white doesn't throw me, because I've actually made several films in black and white myself, and I really like that medium. You know, it's hard to sell a black and white movie now, especially a feature black and white. Very few people have been able to do that. So I think that's why the choice is often questioned. Like, why are you choosing to do this in black and white?
But then you have like Pawlikowski that is up for an Oscar nomination for Best Foreign Film, who's a Polish, and it's called Cold War, and it is in black and white. So you have.
I'm sure it's great, and I know the artist was in black and white in that one. I think you know, I hate to sound like such an American, but I think foreigners can get away with it. Like, maybe, you know, like I don't know if Hollywood's going to be like, yeah, you know what, the next Avengers movie we're going to do it black and white. You know, I don't think it's going to happen, but it is a great medium, and I think it serves the story well. And you know, that's the key. I think if you're a filmmaker out there and you're wondering, you know, do I go black and white or color, just make sure it serves the story well. And I think it does here, because I mean, this poor girl. She goes through so much in the movie, and you do really see, like, because the grandmother character is this sort of like pure light, like wonderful, kind, loving person who deals with the adversity of autism and Vicky very well, you know. And then you have the mother and like the boy. I think it's the mother's boyfriend, who are just horrible, you know. And she has like a little brother, and he's kind of horrible. And then you also have the love interest character, who is this sort of like pure, simple kind of guy, and you see this. You do.
And his boss also.
Yeah.
He's also a very positive character.
And,
so I wanted to balance that also, you know.
And also, the film comes in a little bit, we were talking a little bit, it comes in a little bit of a tricky length, because you're right around the 30-minute mark, which I didn't have a problem with. I think, if you're going the festival route, 30 minutes is a tough length. And 30 minutes is also a tough length for a short, because when you have a feature film, usually around the 20, 25-minute mark, that's kind of where your first turning point is, and you're kind of getting into the second act. But I didn't feel that. Like, I didn't feel the length of the movie, and I thought the length was fine. Like, I thought it served it well. Was that a decision where was it something you had longer that you went to cut down, or was it like it was always intended to be that around that length of story?
So, firstly, when I wrote the script, it was 30 pages, so I knew that it was going to be around 30. But then after finishing the 10-day shoot, I felt that there were some scenes and development in the story that were missing, so I stretched it out and wrote some more scenes, and we went into 3 days more, and then I edited that, and it turned out into a 70-minute film. But then in the editing, I said, no, I think the 30 minutes serves the story the best.
Would you go back at some point and add maybe another dimension to it and make it a feature film?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
So you could, in fact, if you were looking for sort of a business plan or a strategy for the movie, you could take it around, show people this, and say, hey, listen, there's a feature version of it as well, which we shot most of. And
so
then
we just maybe need a little bit of a budget, and then make
which
it
I
into
think
a feature.
Studios will probably accommodate you with if they really like the movie. And I think it's got a good shot. I think there's probably more dimensions that you could explore, just in terms of the environment and the way, because you get Vicky with her family. You get the grandma, you get the love interest, you get the mother's boyfriend and the mother, but you don't really get society. Like, you don't get sort of how she's treated as a whole. And that might be another dimension that you could kind of explore, and that would also give you a little that would give you some more story to tell, kind of thing. So here's a question that I did not brief you on beforehand, but I often ask people, so what were some of the challenges that you had in terms of making the film? And then I also ask people, like, if you could go back and give yourself advice, what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time, before either before this film or like before your first film, and what would you say to yourself? First of all, what were some of the adversities you faced on the movie?
Always when working on a student production or a student film, you are always limited with a really small budget. So in my case, the budget was like around $7,000.
$7,000 US?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is quite a small budget, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, so that was a bit limiting. So you need to, find locations that are not super expensive, and try and work on a smaller crew when minimize. So that was a challenge. But then always when I go into a film production, I'm very well prepared.
Well, if you were giving advice to another filmmaker, you're saying that you were successful with this movie, and you weren't like pulling your hair out kind of thing, because you were so prepared on it.
Yeah, so that what I would say is always come very well prepared to set. Plan your film the best way that you can. always in the whole process, from location scouting to doing all the casting, to handpicking my crew, working with people that I've worked before, that I know that I can trust, that they will be on time, that they will do the best, and that it will be a great vibe on set. So I think it's very important to all filmmakers to just prepare yourself and really also have the whole vision already before you come on set, so you know where to place the camera, you know what angle you want, you know what lens to use, you know what light setup you want, so it's not a question mark when you arrive on set, like, okay, so no, this is not really what I wanted, maybe I should try something different. I already know how I want the film to look.
Did you board beforehand? Did you do storyboards?
No, I had like a shot list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think shot listing and storyboarding, I've done boards myself, and I always have a shot list whenever I get on set, but like boarding for me, especially if you're doing a very visual story, is very helpful, just because it will tell you what shots you don't need, whereas sometimes if you well, it depends on how your mind works, but like for me, it's like even my little primitive drawings, because I draw like I'm an 8-year-old, but like even my little primitive drawings will tell me like, oh, and I remember when I worked on my film The Last Hit, I showed all my storyboards to the DP, and he's like, well, you don't need that shot, you don't need that shot. I was like, okay, great, that's 2 things I don't need to do. And for this shot, I mean, your film is very much people talking, very much human relationship driven. So maybe you don't need, like visual sweeping storyboards, but just to know how you want to cover that. Because dialogue, you can really get into the woods with dialogue. Because if there's so much coverage that you can do. I don't know how much coverage you did for, each shot, but
yeah, I always try and do it to as few takes as possible. So like around 3-4 takes. I know film directors that really push their actors and do like 70 takes, which I think is insane. I would never do that, especially in such a for example, emotional scenes or so on, that you push your actors to do like 70 takes. It's insane. I heard a interview with Ruben Östlund, yeah. So I saw an interview with him, and he said that he does 70 takes, and I'm like, oh my God, the actors must be so tired after like 70 takes. It's insane.
Well, it's interesting because they talked about that with Stanley Kubrick, because Stanley Kubrick would do that as well. He'd do 25, 60 takes. He would do so many takes, but what he's basically doing at that point is rehearsing on camera, where you're getting like Jack Nicholson when he was in The Shining, he would give Kubrick a range of things to play. So like, and because he's such a good actor, he can handle it. But because usually by take 5, they've got it.
And also by take 5, how many different versions can you do as an actor?
He would give him everything from, because in that role as Jack Torrance, he's like from catatonic to crazy. So like every take he would give him from like catatonic to like absolutely nuts, and he was able to do that because he had 25 takes to work with. I don't recommend it, especially if you're working on like a $7,000 budget, because you just don't have time to do that. I mean, if you're Stanley Kubrick and you have a year to make a movie, which I don't know anybody who would get that now, but like, yeah, I mean, people would say that there are benefits to it, because at some point the actors just start trying stuff because they don't know what you want, and they go like by past 15 they're just pushing it, and maybe that's what you need.
Or for me it just seems like you have a director that doesn't know what he wants, and then he just like asks to the actor to do like 70 different versions,
right?
And then it's like, okay,
well, it's
are you directing then, or are you not directing? You know what I mean?
You're kind of finding everything to edit that way, and some people do that. I think Gordon Willis, this great cinematographer, referred to that as dump truck directing, where you just kind of get everything and then you dump everything on the poor editor. But yeah, if you're making a $7,000 short, do not do 70 takes of anything. But like, and it's good also with her. With Camila, she's got like a physically demanding part because of what she's doing physically to to portray the different tics and stuff that she's got. So like I'm sure that if you did take 15, she'd probably be totally burnt. And you know, then how do you do the next scene? You know, if somebody's just totally fried that way. But it is an interesting question, and you know, some people do that and they get great. Like David Fincher does a lot of takes, and you know, I think he's a great director. But yeah, it really depends on what you have people doing,
And also
how much time you have.
And also how well you prepare together with the actors. So, for example, if you prepare yourself before you go into shooting, like you have readings and so on, and walkthroughs of the different scenes, then you come also more prepared. The actor knows, you know, more or less how it's gonna be.
Do they, where you went to film school, did they encourage rehearsal with the actors?
Yes.
See, I think there's a thing, and I don't know if it's an American thing versus, you know, a foreign film school thing, but I think a lot of American directors don't know how to use rehearsal. They'll either do a bit of it on set, blocking, and then that's where all those takes come in, because they're basically rehearsing on film. And, you know, like, but if you're a good director and you know how to use rehearsal and read-throughs and things like that, like Sidney Lumet would do a read-around of the cast, and he'd get everybody together and then do a little bit of rehearsal, and then everybody kind of had it, and then they would shoot. And he would have sometimes he'd have like a 2-week rehearsal period with the cast. It's unheard of in American cinema a lot of times. Most of the time you get 0 rehearsal, and you just have to kind of find it on the day. Because they'll say, well, we don't have the pre-production money to get everybody in there and rehearse everything. And, you know, if you're doing stuff that is really actor heavy and you need these performances, I recommend rehearsal, but you have to know how to use it effectively. And you have to, like, I used to work, I did theater growing up, and so my natural inclination with working with actors, like, okay, let's do a reading of the script. Let's get these things down. And then we'll go, and then, then you can nail it in 5 takes because you're not trying to find it on the day. But it's difficult because everybody's rushed and everybody, like, kind of speeds through the production process. It's crazy. It's the most important part of the production. To get the performance is the most important part of the production, but it's the one that everybody rushes through because it costs a lot of money, and a lot of times people aren't available. So you just get stuck, and then you go, oh my God, why didn't I have them do another take? So, well, I didn't have time, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Then it can also be not only preparation, but also that you don't do a good casting.
Right.
So this is also a great advice to filmmakers who are starting up, that not only do you have to prepare your actors for their part, but also do good casting, and don't just take the first available actor that you can afford. Really try and search. It might be time consuming, but you will get the actor that will play the part the best, and really do good castings that you try. Not only readings, but some taped castings, that they also you try the different roles.
I don't know, I can't remember who said it, but there was a famous director who said that basically, like, casting is 80% of directing. So, like, if you've got the right person for the role, 80% of your job is pretty much done. Then you just have to kind of, you know, guide them on through the part. But yeah, and that's the thing where that's another thing that gets rushed too, I think, and finding the right people. And again, it's budget too. You know, it's a lot to deal with.
But
budget.
Also, it's not only budget. I think if you have a really good, compelling story, and you believe in your project, you can get a lot of actors, for example, to work for free if they really believe in your project and they want to help out. Starting up a film director, for example. So
Sure.
It's not only that you cannot. Maybe it's possible to get the top AA actor if you have a good script.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, if you write something really good, you'll get a good actor to jump if the part is good enough. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up shortly, but this has been great. So tell me quickly, upcoming projects for you. What's up next for you?
So right now I'm doing a festival tour with Vicky. I will be going to sit in post-production with my new documentary, It's a documentary about my boyfriend, who's an artist. He's a quite famous Polish artist, and he's done like 120 exhibitions, and his parents have never even been to one.
Wow.
So the documentary is about that, you know, bridging and trying to figure out why his parents have never been to an exhibition, and
Wow.
trying to get them to come. And then I'm writing a full feature script. I am also writing a TV series, and just trying to find the right producer who will believe in my visions and my projects.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck, and you know, of course, you're welcome back to Brooklyn anytime you want to come. Where can for anybody who wants to seek you out or learn more about the film, where can they find you on the web?
So I have a site that's called wikithefilm.com.
Just so you know, that's Vicky with a W, W-I-K-I,
Yeah.
thefilm.com, which, you know, if you're an American like me, you want to say Wiki, but it's Vicky because it's in Polish.
Yeah.
I hope the film comes out. I hope you guys get distribution for it or turns into a feature. I was really impressed with it when I saw it the other day, and I hope that, you know, you can kind of continue this journey and keep doing great stuff. That having said, I got to wrap up, but thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it, all the way from Sweden. And thank you for joining us and taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more episodes of this show, you can find them on our website, btrp.nyc. You can also listen to us on all the major podcast channels, Anchor, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, etc., etc. I like to thank before I go, I'd like to thank my guests, Veronica Andersson. Thanks again. And thank you for joining us for Behind the Rabbit Productions. I'm Jason Godbey, and we'll see you next time.